Hi guys, it's Anastasia, your vegan abroad, coming to you from beautiful Cusco, Peru. And I'm here to give you some more wonderful tips, tricks, and advice. I know in my last video I talked a little bit about cravings and what you can do if you're craving certain animal products. And in that same vein, I just wanted to continue with my next few videos to simply give some advice for prospective vegans or people who are transitioning to a more plant-based or compassionate lifestyle, and they're just looking for some advice to help get them started and help get them through those first few weeks. Okay, so today I just wanted to talk a little bit about the transition itself and the different ways that you can go about doing that. And I really think that there's two ways. The first being the rip the Band-Aid method, where you just do it all at once and you throw out all your non-vegan crap and really make a commitment right there. And the second would be more of a slow kind of change where you cut things out of your life in a little bit more of a progression. Okay, so the first way, rip the Band-Aid method. So maybe you saw Cowspiracy, or you saw Earthlings, or Forks Over Knives, and you were just flipping shit. And you're like, oh my god, I need to make a change. Like, I need to do this now. This is what's for me. This is what's right. Like, it's good for the animals. It's good for the environment. It's going to make me healthier. And it's what I need, and I need to do it now. Good for you, man. Okay, so if you are doing it that way, I think there are pros and cons, obviously, like there is with anything. A pro being you have so much motivation and so much energy in that moment to really, I think that to make that commitment, you'll always have that to fall back on. It's like a defining moment. It's really big and it's really important, and you'll always have that moment to like go back to. And another really amazing pro of this is you kind of skip the awkward transitionary period where you're kind of like figuring things out, and you're like, some days you're eating animal products and some days you're not, and it's just kind of weird because like you don't have these guidelines or like something to fall back on. So you kind of skip that whole place where sometimes people get lost in this transition period. So that's definitely a pro. You're less likely to change your mind, I think, in that regard, somewhere like along your journey of slowly cutting things out. Like when you make that commitment, you are committed, and I think that you probably have a really good chance of staying vegan. Some cons are that you have less time to adjust. You cut everything out, like cheese, milk, eggs, that kind of thing, and you don't really have a chance to see what some things that you like and some things that you don't like that you may use to replace those animal products. Yeah, you have less time to do research on nutrition. It's all really new. Yeah, so you have less time. You just basically you just don't really know about it as much at first, and you might feel like you're struggling a little bit like a week after, especially with cravings. Although if you do have a problem with cravings, check out my last video. It's linked in the description below. But this is a doable way to do it. Just think about the pros and the cons of the rip the Band-Aid method. Alright, the second way is more of a slow change, a slow transition into the lifestyle. And this is where maybe you start off vegetarian, maybe then after that you'll start cutting out other animal products, and it kind of gives your body a chance to adjust to your new lifestyle. This is how I did it. Although when I first became vegetarian, like I didn't have an intention of becoming a vegan originally. It's just something that kind of happened. It felt like, for me, it was a natural process. As you learn more and more about why you became vegetarian in the first place, you learn more about why vegan is like actually the answer. That that you wanted all along. And it's kind of like this crazy rabbit hole, like you just get further and further down into when you're learning about animal agriculture and the suffering and the impact on the environment and the health benefits. It's just like once you learn these things, you can't unlearn them. Yeah, so a pro for me in that was that I had a lot of time to adjust and build up my repertoire of vegetarian and vegan recipes and resources, like places I could go for answers that I needed, certain YouTube channels or certain websites, doctors, like basically reliable sources of information. So that's a pro. You get time to experiment with animal replacement products, like maybe faux meats, soy milks, that type of thing. You figure out what you like and what you don't like. That way, by the time you're actually fully vegan, you have the advantage of always being able to make something you like and not being discouraged and knowing what you need to fulfill all of your nutrition requirements. So, yeah, that's the way I did it. Isn't necessarily the way you need to do it, but just a couple of cons to think about before you choose this method. You are more likely to get stuck in this weird transition period between wherever you started and vegan, and you could be stuck for forever potentially. I mean, you might never actually make it fully to where you wanted to go. So I feel like you're more likely to get lost in this weird kind of funk where you don't really know where you stand with your diet. You're trying to explain it to people and you're like, well, I don't eat meat, but sometimes I eat cheese, but I'm trying to cut back on animal products and yada yada yada. And you're just like, what are you talking about? Sometimes it's actually nice to have those guidelines, like just so you know where you stand, and it's really easy to explain it to people, and you feel confident in your own decisions. Yeah, the biggest problem that I had with this method is once I did decide that I wanted to be vegan, when I was in the transitionary period, I would say it was several months. If there was a day that I would eat like animal products or more than usual or at all, I would feel kind of guilty. I'd be like, well, I know I want to be vegan, but I'm giving myself some time, but you still kind of just feel like a weight because you at this point you do know like what it's doing to the planet and to the animals and to your body. So that's definitely a con. Maybe it was just for me, but that's something to think about in that respect. Yeah, so the ripped BandAid method and the slow transition method both have their pros and their cons. I think that they both are effective. It just depends on who you are as a person and what you think will be the most effective for you. So I urge you to consider both, but to choose one, obviously, and stick with it. And I really believe that you can be successful on both of these methods. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you will like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't yet, I advise you, or I encourage you, I guess would be a better word, to check out my blog. I have awesome vegan recipes. And you can connect with me on Instagram if you want. All that information is linked down below. And until next time guys, I hope you get to do a little bit of traveling, and I hope you get to eat some amazing vegan food. And I will be seeing you soon.